Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection. It's either Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening, or maybe Sunday morning where you are. But for us, we're together all the damn time. That's what it's all about. So we've got, of course, let me introduce my wonderful co-host here as well, Simon Bray from Lancashire and Steven Reid from Perth in Scotland. Is that better than last week?
Quite good, Peter.
I'm getting good at it, right? I'm getting good at it.
I feel like Peter's turning into John Barrowman.
Got it.
Maybe not in, all the ways.
Yeah, not all
No, not in all the ways. No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got another fun topic today. Today is back to the the kind of the warring opinions on a particular subject. So today in particular, it's sort of KISS related because we're going to be talking about Mr. Gene Simmons. I'll let Steven kind of explain a little bit of what's going to be happening today on this episode.
Well, anybody who watched the album homework assignment that I was lucky enough to do with Neve the Prog Nerd last weekend will know that I am here to defend, among other things, Gene Simmons' asshole. That's my purpose in life this evening, afternoon, whatever time you happen to be watching this. So yes, what we're doing is we are debating the many pros and very few cons. Is that right, Simon? Is that not right?
Not strictly true, is it?
Okay. Of Gene Simmons' two official solo albums. So his 1978 Gene Simmons and the 2004, I think it is, I've got it written down, but I've got my notes hidden already. Asshole. Yes, the quaintly titled Asshole. So one of us loves it, them. One of us not so sure.
Before we get started,
yeah,
beverages of choice for today.
Well, thanks for asking. I've recently been doing a little bit of traveling up and down the UK, particularly during Storm Eunice, which was fairly terrifying. I went to Salisbury, near Stonehenge. Yeah, it's actually, not that I went this time, but they are bigger than you think. They're not actually that big.
Oh, okay. So you didn't make them...
No, but I've seen them before, so I didn't go this time. But I did go to Dark Revolution Brewery. Yeah. Just what now, Peter? What's the question mark for now? I haven't
a clue what you guys are talking about, so I'm just,
Stonehenge, Spinal Tap. It's really tiny.
Oh, Stonehenge. Okay, gotcha. All right, now
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. Okay.
Yeah.
Stonehenge. Yeah. So I went. Start again. So I went to Dark Revolution Brewery. Thoroughly recommend it in Salisbury, and I got some genuinely hideously named Moving On Up.
Really?
Text 10%. I showed it to a good friend of mine. He said, turning into Smashy and Nice, and he said, M People's greatest song. I said, there's no such fucking thing, my friend. That is not a thing. M People, no. Anyway, it's 10%.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna pour it. Gonna sample it.
It's a one and done, is what I call it.
I've never had it before, so I'm going to sample it as we're going along, and I'm going to enjoy. Hopefully, I'll let you know.
Sounds well.
I'm in lighter territory this week. I was in very dark red territory last week, but this week I have from the Inverarmond Brewery, which basically is in Perth, Ocean. That's what I have. Okay. So this beer is named after legendary Scottish figure, Ocean, whose home is reputed to be less than 10 miles from our brewery. So there you go. This is as local as it gets just about for me. Ocean. It is a refreshing golden ale. And I can tell you that it is refreshing, and it's definitely golden, and it's certainly an ale. So yeah, it ticks all of those things, and I'm liking it very much.
Awesome. Sounds good. Look at that. Oof. How's that tasting, Simon?
That looks good.
Tasting good. And do you notice how well it's poured, Peter?
Yes.
Unlike last week. Just say.
Oh, yeah. See, this is an acceptable head.
All right, I was a little nervous because I was trying to do it on camera, and that doesn't always come out with so much head.
Should have done it below.
You'll notice that I haven't been brave enough. Mine are pre-poured.
That's what I should have done. Well, you learn your lesson on this show, right? At least I do. Well, my beverage of choice today, I'm pretty boring. I've got a delicious ice cold Republic of Tea Mandalorian blueberry herbal tea. Yum. And look at how nice and purpley pink that is.
Mandalorian,
yeah, based on the TV show. So
nice.
Little
Okay.
Grogu, the little baby Yoda character, he's on the canister, and yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll let you off then. I'll let you off. That's cool. I'm in.
No alcohol for me today.
I'm out.
Yeah,
You're out. Oh, okay.
I loathe Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah, try to time that as you were drinking.
Well, that should have been the show.
I guess you were never going to do an episode with Chris Allo then. Okay, so much for that.
It's the only film I've ever walked out of.
Really? Wow.
Which one?
The first one, A New Hope, hated it. Absolutely hated it. I was 10 at the time, so thought, no, don't like it. And I'm fairly confident it was kind of aimed at me, wasn't it? 10-year-olds.
I always knew there was something strange about you.
Well, what's even stranger is that in the very same cinema, which has now sadly been knocked down, I did, see how I bring this back around, sit all the way through Kiss's film.
Oh, the Phantom of the Park.
Phantom of the Park. I sat all the way through.
That's an absolute classic.
I think, we don't often agree, but that is an utter classic. Even Gene doesn't like it, but yeah, absolute classic. Stone Cold classic.
You sat through the whole Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park and walked down on Star Wars.
And got up and walked out to Star Wars.
Do you know how many times I saw Star Wars in the theaters that year it opened? 7 times. Loved it.
See, I actually think that they've knocked down that cinema because of you, Simon. Somebody actually walked out of Star Wars. Somebody aged 10 walked out of Star Wars. Knock it down. Knock it down. That's
it. If we can't get
so
a
imagine
10-year-old.
Imagine I was 9, but 77. Yeah.
Oh well.
Stand by it.
Can't win them all. Anyway, back to Gene Simmons' asshole.
Well, we're not just talking about his asshole. Right? We're also talking about his face. So because we're talking about an album that, if nothing else, Simon, has an iconic cover.
It does indeed. And do you know what? I knew that you would be the man that brings the shit, so I didn't.
Did you not? See, I don't know what would make you think that I would bring show and tell for this one, because that's not the first copy of this album I own, because that's this one. Okay, and the reason that I own this one is because, well, I didn't have that album. But this one came with a poster, you see? So we're not just talking about the phenomenal music that's here. We're talking also about, look at this. You just cannot go wrong with this.
That's cool. Mine did not have that.
See, that's very, very cool. Okay. So, and just in case, there is also this. Okay. So there you go. So, so there's hours of fun to be had with these releases. Hours of fun, because it was also a single, and the single, I believe, came with a mask.
Pay attention.
I'm looking something up. Well, oh wow, look at that! Holy cow!
There you go.
I'll turn away for 2 seconds to look up to get the track listing of the album. And
Gene's turned up.
You see, because the single came with a mask. Okay, this is a glorious, beautiful red vinyl as well, I may add. And then you get the Italian version, which is not a red vinyl, but it's Italian, so I bought that one too. So yeah, I've got quite a lot of show and tell for this. I could do a whole show on my own of Kiss show and tell. So in case anyone doesn't believe that the album art is iconic, there's also the best of the solo albums with the nice German logo as well. See?
You got one Peter Criss song on there?
No, of course not, Peter. You get 3 of each because it was a democracy. Kiss were a democracy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was 3 of each. So there is actually 3 phenomenal light jazz soul plodders. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, and that's one of the things for me. The Kiss albums, one of the reasons that I like the 1978 Gene Simmons album is because although the whole ethos behind them realistically was to try and keep a band together that really didn't want to be very much at this stage. Do you know, there was all manner of egos involved, which I know we find it hard to believe with the four charts we're talking about, Polly, Peter and Gene. But realistically, there was, you know, the let's do a solo album, let's release them all on the same day, let's ship them all platinum and not sell anything like that amount. However, most of them went back. That's why my copies are American, was because they were never released here because they shipped all the American stuff here. They didn't need to release those albums here until they came out in CD. But the solo albums, I think, were really quite honest, because what you got from the four guys, Paul Stanley gave you an album that said, look, I'm the backbone of Kiss. This is a Kiss album, just without Gene's songs on it. This is a Kiss album. Ace, really, what he did was he went, look, I do have some shit and I can get it together. When I can be arsed, I can actually write songs. And if you listen to his Ace Frehley album, it set the tone for everything that's come from him since. Peter's album is honest. It's not very good, but it's honest. Do you know, because if you listen to any Peter Criss story, he will tell you that he was trained by Gene Krupa, jazz legend. So therefore, Peter's album is filled with not jazz legend stuff at all. So anyway, the point...
I feel like he never really mentions that.
No, he doesn't. I'm glad that I can educate on something that he's never... He whispers it from time to time just to his close associates.
Yeah.
Where for me, Gene Simmons' solo album, the 1978 solo album, is actually the most honest of the four. Okay. Now, obviously, the guys in Kiss play a role. They've got a character. Gene is the demon. I mean, the album art that I've shown a million times, you know, he's menacing. There's blood dripping from him. There's all of that stuff that he does all the time. But it would have been easy, I think, for him to just give you an album full of God of Thunder. It would have been very easy for him just to, you know, completely play to type. But actually, he gave you something completely different. Do you know? I mean, it was co-produced by Sean Delaney, who had lots of connections with Kiss. He co-wrote stuff off Rock and Roll Over, co-wrote stuff off Alive 2. He quite bizarrely helped on the Peter Criss solo album, which is quite amazing because they were meant to be completely isolated and not knowing that Peter's was already sinking, so he got involved in that. But what it resulted in is an album, to me, where you actually get a little bit of a view into Gene Simmons and not the demon. And I really like that. I love Gene's singing voice. I do like the Cookie Monster kind of, you know, I'm eviler than evil that he can do. Radioactive, the single. That's as close as the album gets to that. But to me, there's things like, you know, Always Near You, stroke Nowhere to Hide. There's See You Tonight, Man of a Thousand Faces. These are great songs that he actually sings. And I'm not really going to help my cause with a lot of people here, but I maybe will with Simon, because I think those songs are almost a precursor to what would happen 3 years later with The Elder. Gina is looking for something else, and he's channeling something different, and he's singing you songs that the closest he ever does that with Kiss, realistically, is A World Without Heroes. Do you know? And I'm currently reading this ginormous book on the creation of the Elder, which is absolutely brilliant if that's your thing. I know it's not most people's thing, but that's my thing.
I mean, it's hard to believe that a whole book was written on that. Jeez, holy moly.
Oh, I mean, this book interviews, other than the band themselves, everybody that was involved, from sound engineers to the people who voiced the characters on the Elder that never even got used. Everybody, PR people, office workers, anyone that had anything to do with the Elder, the guy that built Ace's studio, Ace in the Hole, they're all spoken to in here. I'm not all the way through yet. It is a little repetitive in places because of the way that it's structured. It's very good. Anyway, different show. Okay, it's also not brand new, but it's a very good read.
So Simon, so Steven just did a really good, I think, analysis of that album and like what it really meant to Gene, right? And so I agree with. I think it's the album he wanted to make. And you know, a lot of these, I think, especially from Gene and Peter's perspective, they kind of dip back into what they're really into in music and did an album that's based on that, right? So I think Simon, and maybe, again, I don't really know your opinion on the album yet, but for some of us, Gene's album was kind of a major disappointment because our expectations were completely different. What was your kind of take on this album?
Well, I've always thought that, can you have a favorite member of Kiss? I've always thought he's always been for me the member of Kiss that I've kind of been most drawn to, because he's a demon. I mean, what on earth is a star child? It's a fucking cat. I mean, you know, come on. When you can have, you know, a cat or a demon, where are you going to go? You're going to go for the demon, aren't you? Am I right? I'm right. And I know that I'm supposed to be a bad cop, and trust me, I will be soon. But you know, one of the only kind of like Venn diagram vectors that the UK Connection actually have is the sheer genius of the elder. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know that we're going to discuss 80s Kiss at a later date, but you know, elder, yeah. But for me, Gene Simmons' album is arguably certainly in my top 2 Kiss-related albums of all time. I really like almost all of it.
Almost. Really like. Oh, so yeah. What do you not like then? What's not good?
You know what's dog shit on this, don't you? It's to me, it's a 10-track album.
Are you suggesting that the closing track isn't there?
I'm suggesting it's amongst the worst things in the history of mankind.
That last song?
When You Wish Upon a Star. I mean, it's that bad that Walt Disney has actually had himself cryogenically frozen for even longer. That's how bad it is.
For anyone that does not know, it's When You Wish Upon a Star. Now, I will admit that it's not this album's shining moment. It's not. That's probably Living in Sin at the Holiday Inn. Or
that is absolute genius. That is complete genius.
Right, okay. Though I love that sort of stuff. I mean, also in Living in Sin, I mean, he's got one of his current squeezes shared doing the telephone call part. I mean, it's utter brilliant nonsense, isn't it? I mean, Donna Summer, who is his other lady of the era, she sings backing vocals on this album. You've got Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. You've got Joe Perry from Aerosmith. You've got Bob Seger. I mean, I could go on and on.
Everybody's on this album, yeah.
Everybody's on this album.
Ellen Reddy is on this album.
Yeah, Helen Reddy's on that.
Stepping out of the Where Are They Now box.
You know, she was stepping out of the Where Were They Then box.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
However, what I will say about the Disney moment, yeah, it's cheese, fine. It's not a great vocal.
It's shite.
Well, on a scale of 1 to shite, it's neither shite than 1. Okay.
It's shite.
However, that was the song, as the story goes, that Gene first heard when he hit US soil. And that was the song that made him believe that he could shape and change his life. And that vocal is the way it is because he genuinely got emotional as he was missing all the notes. Okay? So,
yeah, and who can blame him?
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of missed notes on that, aren't there?
Yeah, I must admit that the reason that they went with that vocal was because he got so emotional and it meant so much to him. That's why they went with it. I will admit that that was a brave decision, for want of a better turn of phrase, because, yeah, it's poor. It is poor. And yet, I still like it. No, two shaking heads. Have you both got Heart of Stone? That's a later song. Anyway.
I mean, me personally, I didn't hate this album at all.
I love the album. I just hate the last track.
I always thought that Paul and Ace's album was stronger. I like this album. I like certain songs on this album. He was always, I mean, Simon put it perfectly. He's the demon. I wanted this to be a heavy, kick-ass album. And it's just kind of, it's like a Meatloaf album, which is fine, but it's not what I expected from him. Radioactive is great. Burning Up with Fever is great. Living in Sin is fun. Yeah, a couple of the other songs are okay, but I don't know. It's very kind of Gene wanting to be Hollywoodish, and they're not bad songs. And all these years later, I think I've softened my stance on it quite a bit. But I guess it's just, even to this day, it's not the album I wanted to hear from him, I guess.
I think you're right. I actually, at the top of my notes, are actually alongside Beatles, which I've written down more than once. Loads of guests. Hollywood. I think it's a precursor to, Gene in the 80s, basically going to Hollywood and kind of like phoning it in for an entire decade. And I think he's looking in that direction, as long back as 1978. And you can see where he's going. It took him a long time to get his shit together and get back to demoning it up as they were.
Yeah.
And I think this album is arguably a really good signpost for where he was going. I mean, he doesn't even play bass on it. Like he doesn't have much Kiss material in the 80s.
Right. No, but he does pick up a guitar on it, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
He does play guitar on it. It's interesting that you mentioned the Beatles thing, because Mr. Make-Believe, backing vocals, come on everybody. Okay, that is so much a Beatles ripoff, it's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, it's unashamed. It is, it's almost lifting chord structures out of early Beatles numbers. And I love that. I love the Beatles. So it works for me too.
Yeah.
If there's one song on it I have a problem with, it's See You in Your Dreams. Because why re-record a Kiss song on it? Do you know? And the version it's on, I think it's on Rock and Roll Over, it's pretty damn good for my money.
It is. So, it didn't need to be done again. Yeah.
No, and I do like the female backing vocals that are on this, and a real feature on this. I really like them. I think they're great. But I didn't really need to hear a Kiss song done that way. So that's the reason that I think there's kind of a song too many on this album. In my journey with it,
actually, in my case, only one. Because I like that. That's the only song where the female backing vocals, which I think are fantastic, are a little bit intrusive.
I think he's looking for a point of difference.
Yeah,
that's what he's looking at. He's looking at justifying not having enough songs to fill the album. It's what I don't have one of the vaults. I don't have a big box thing that's got one of his socks in it or whatever. And that's real, by the way. Some people don't look at that. So, the Gene Simmons.
No, I thought you were a fan.
I don't want his socks though.
Really thought you were a fan.
It's
just a part-timer, aren't you? I'm expecting.
It was the line at feet, I think, right?
Do you know that in recent times, up to I think going into Christmas, there was a sale on the vault. I can't quite remember what it came down to, but it was low enough for me to go, let's click the link. Okay. However, when it boils down to it, I want all the music, and I do have the music, but not. Don't tell Gene, not on the CDs, okay? Because the CDs only come in a gargantuan safe like vault thing made of cardboard with piles of tat inside that I don't have room for. If I had the room, I'd have one, okay? And I must admit that the vault experiences, if you went all out, they look like great fun.
You've just used the phrase piles of tat in relation to Kiss. I can't believe this. I'm astonished.
But a band of Beatles was such a high bar. Yeah. At some point, something had to fall below that.
It really did, didn't it? I'm expecting you to be buried in a Kiss lunchbox or something.
If only I was small enough to fit in the lunchbox.
we can borrow you down.
Between that and the flask, I'm sure we'll be okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Not a Kiss casket or anything like that. Yeah.
Anyway, the point being, there are actually lots of demos from around that point too. So he didn't need to bulk the album out with a Kiss song, even though he feels that was a better version of it. But there you go. So that to me, that's the 1978 Gene Simmons album. I love it. I absolutely love it. Would it be one of my top 2 Kiss-related records? No, it wouldn't. Is it my favourite solo album? No. It's probably the one I listen to most, though.
All music,
favorite?
I love this quote. All Music gave the album 3 stars out of 5 and called it an unpredictable yet ultimately enjoyable release.
That's fair dues.
I think that's really quite fair. Yeah. That's quite a good summation in actual fact.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed reminding myself of this record. So much so that I'm just going to talk you through what I think about it, whether or not you want to or not. Radioactive, solid gold classic. You know, it's almost as if he thought, wow, glam rock was popular 3 or 4 years ago in the UK. I'll do that because I'm certainly not doing any of this punk shit. It's a record that doesn't sound like the rest of the world has impinged upon it at all.
Yeah.
You know, the entire, he's just doing what he wants to do, and more power to him for that. You know, I think there's glances towards disco in places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's certainly not thinking, wow, right, Sex Pistols have been a bit popular recently.
Let's do a punk song.
Yeah, he's in his own little gene world. You know, more power to him. I really like the backing vocals throughout. Burning Up with Fever. I was recently read Steve Van Zandt's book.
I haven't read it yet, but I want to.
And he says more than once that all records in the 70s sound terrible.
Oh, no.
All of them. And this to me is a fantastic sounding 70s rock record.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really kind of like hits you in the face, but you know, you can tell where everybody is and everything. It's a really good sounding record to me. And you know, far be it from me to say that Stevie's wrong, but he is. Yeah.
I would agree on that.
It's a good sound. Seriously, you know, it really is. But I See You Tonight is Stonesy, Facey, Beatly, softy, rocky, stick a Y on practically everything you want, and is absolutely one of my top 1 Kiss-related songs. I've always loved that song. It's just like one big chorus, isn't it, all the way through?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, sometimes easy shit like that's good. And I really love it. Tunnel of Love's got really good, dirty sounding guitar. For me, yeah, it's really dirty guitar. Really love True Confessions. The Boogie Piano makes an appearance on a couple of occasions on here. And, you know, Knowing My Love of Skinner, that absolutely works for me. But I want to talk about Living in Sin. Brackets.
At the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, because I don't know about you chaps, quite often, you know, in the day job, I've had to go to conferences and stuff, and I don't. Quite often they've been at the Holiday Inn, and I always walk the reception without fail, and I've always got that song in my head, and in my mind, I'm in a music video, and how you do when you're in music. I'm in slow-mo, and I'm looking that way, and in my head, I'm living in sin at the Holiday Inn. And then you go to reception, and then you go upstairs, and then you stay in your room all night. But just for that brief moment to go through the door, I'm feeling like I'm an absolute demon. You know what I mean? And I just love the tune. Always Near You, Slash, Nowhere Tight, Beatles. You know, Man of a Thousand Faces. I love the orchestration throughout the album as well. Again, just a great sounding record. You know, really is. You know, all the way through Mr. Make Believe, See You in Your Dream, and last song.
You've hit on some really interesting points for me there, because you're talking about things being really just like one great long chorus. There are basically no lyrics on this album. When you actually go and read the lyrics, as I did last night, even though I've known these songs, well, not quite from 1978, but for a long time, you don't quite take in just how few words he could be asked to write for this album. He really does do like 3 lines of verse, chorus. Sometimes he starts it with a chorus in some of these songs. And there's like 3 lines that are not that, then another chorus and another 3 lines. And then it is just repeat the chorus until fade.
It's a really short album. I mean, most of these songs are 3 minutes. I mean, it's very compact.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing that struck me as well, when you said, Sex Pistols, was he listening to the Ramones? There is the bit at the start of Burning Up with Fever where he goes 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
bling, 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 and there's that out of tune guitar acoustic thing.
You feel like that's a comment on?
I possibly do, yeah, of that throwaway punk stuff, and then they play that out of tunes thing as if to say, "But this is a real song that I'm about to play you."
But Kiss did end up on the Ramones tribute album, didn't they?
They did indeed. Yes, they did indeed.
Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, offer Kiss enough free something, and they'll turn
I
up.
was just going to say, yep. Well, how much? Oh, yeah, we'll do that. Sure.
They turned up a tribute album that turned out to be better than their own one.
Yep.
Yes, I genuinely really like this album. It's one of my favorite Kiss-related things, and mostly good things to say about it.
Yes.
Well, how about the other album we're going to talk about? That's.
Have you brought your asshole along?
I have brought my asshole along.
Yeah, I brought my asshole along.
Look at that. You don't usually show very much on
screen. Well, there was a reason, right? Because, you know, this is not a good record. this is. I was going to, right? And I'm sure this might. I know that Stephen, you're only a young whippersnapper compared to me and Pete. So I thought, wow, Dog is a fucking terrible song. I'll read some of the lyrics out, and then I've now realised that, as you know, I'm in my nearly mid-50s now. I can't read them. Do you know? And that's a thing on practically anything I buy these days. And you know, I've got the glasses, the varifocals. I've supposedly got pilot vision, but I can't read that shit. Nope, not happening. Nope.
Well, I kind of surprised myself when I went and did a little bit of, you know, memory jogging, try and move the olds out for 5 minutes and look back at these albums, because I had a theory about the two, and the theory was that the 78 album was this young guy being very honest when he's living in this Mr. Make-Believe make-up world. Okay, I then had a little bit of a joke when I realised that when he released the album, I was 5, he was 29. By rock and roll terms, that's not very young. Okay?
No.
That's frightening, isn't it? There you go. So by 2004, I will happily agree that, and he's maybe in terms of age a little bit late. With this album here, what you're witnessing is a midlife crisis.
A midlife crisis, yet look at that cover. He's still living in sin at the Holiday Inn all those years later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, you know that way where, you know, you're walking down the street, it's a beautiful sunny day, and you hear along the street, and you think, oh, I wonder what that'll be. And it's a Harley, or it's a beautiful sports car with the top down, and there's some old guy either sitting astride it, you know, or like this in a car, and you think, what is it you say to yourself? Asshole. That's what you say, right? Right. But bear with me here, as it goes round the corner, and you know that even with it, you know he can't hear you anymore. You go, yeah, it's quite cool the way, right? And that is how I view this album. It's not cool. I mean, Gene Simmons has not been cool for ever, right? Okay, that's not true, actually. He was the coolest guy in the world for a few years, okay? But by the time that we get to Asshole,
Stephen, because it's not even that cool, and it's not that cutting edge. So I think you'll find it's a asterisk hole.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not even A.
Oh yeah, there you go. See, it's just triple asterisk hole.
Yeah. I mean, he's not even brave enough. I mean, it's there. Okay, fine. But if you take it out of he's not even brave enough.
Yeah, he's not even bringing his own asshole, is it?
Yeah, I mean, at least Marillion put the word "fuck" on the front of one of their albums recently. Do you know, Gene is not going to be true to his convictions and put "asshole" on the front of the album because it's
because you know Gene's not stupid. He's like, well, if we put the full asshole, we're not going to be able to sell it in Walmart or this store and that store. He wants to make sure he gets maximum payout on this, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Make sure that all of the phenomenal hits that he wrote for this album get an airing. That's right, Simon, isn't it? Do you know that? Right, okay. There are good things on this album. okay? And I will defy anyone to tell me that there's not good things on this album, okay? Sweet and Dirty Love and Weapons of Mass Destruction, okay? So the lineup for that is Mr. Simmons, Bruce Kulick, and Eric Singer. And if those songs are not a hybrid between Revenge and the much and wrongly maligned Carnival of Souls, then I don't know what is. Now, I love that era of Kiss. That's when they refound themselves. In terms of timing, it was, in my humble opinion, as a Kiss fan at that stage, the worst point for a reunion, because they were just coming out of a musical dip and kind of going, yeah, okay, Carnival of Souls, as Kiss always did. They saw the scene, they gave it a thought for a couple of years, and then went, oh, and tried to grab onto it as it's just gone round the corner. It is their grunge album. It's bloody good, though. It's bloody good, though. And I think those two songs really fall into the category of excellent. They're really good songs. Is that
I would
surely
go for pretty good songs. Isn't Weapon of Mass Destruction the only song that he actually plays bass on?
Yeah, I think it is.
And also, it's the best bass playing on the album. You know the way it goes. Boom. Well, I'm turning to you. Thank you. Yeah. There you go. Thank you. You can do that too. So, yeah, I'm just a side man.
Love as well, does he not?
Yeah. Well, I think I read on the very, very tiny writing they played bass and rhythm guitar on one and just bass on the other. He doesn't play that much, does he, comparatively speaking?
No, well, compared to what the albums and the Kiss albums, not really. No.
Well, again, interesting point. Yes, I will go with you. There are a couple of okay songs. You know, do you want to go through the okay ones before we get to the absolute crap? Because there's some real rubbish on this.
One of the most interesting ideas on this album is Black Tongue. Okay, that's a really interesting idea. Okay, so that is a song where Gene licensed an unfinished Frank Zappa piece of guitar work. Okay, and then decided to make his own song out of that. But to augment that with Ahmet, Dweezil, Moon Unit, and Gail Zappa, who between them
just remind me what the daughter's called again.
Aye,
Moon. I like it. It's nearly as good as Purple. Moon Unit. Say it again.
Moon Unit.
Oh, brilliant! Outstanding. I like it. Yeah.
So anyway, to augment it with
every Zappa that's still alive.
Yes, absolutely. Now, for Zappa purists, hi Peter. Gene might not be the most obvious choice to reinterpret Zappa. Okay, and I will admit that if Zappa is where you reside, you may listen to that and go, shite. Right? I do understand that. You'll notice when I'm on In the Prog seat, when Zappa is mentioned, I'm quite quiet. Never investigated the catalogue at all. The little I've heard are, in inverted commas, comedy albums. And maybe I've just heard the wrong things. As we discussed on the homework assignment at the weekend, I struggle with quirk in my music. So I quite like Black Tongue because it doesn't really sound like the Frank Zappa that I imagine Frank Zappa sounds like. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Okay, I've just completely been myself in the prog seat there, by the way. And I also really like that there's a proper version of Carnival of Souls on here. Okay, so that's a demo from the Carnival of Souls sessions that never made the final sessions album that Kiss drudgingly put out when they realised that people like me, and I meant to bring it to show and tell, but I didn't, were going out to record fairs back in the day where people did those things and buying bootlegs of the album because it was a Kiss album that I didn't own, so I wanted to have it. It's not even on the demos that I've got, but it is on the demos that I've heard online. The demo version is better, but at least it gets a proper airing, and it is still a pretty decent song. So that, to me, that's the strongest ones on the album. That's 4 I've mentioned that I think really quite stand up. Now, admittedly, 4 out of, what are we, 11?
13.
Oh, no, 13.
13, 4 out of 13, that's like, not good.
Yeah, no, I don't mind asshole.
Do you know what?
I like the shapely thing.
When that came out, I thought, my kids were relatively young, and we thought that was hilarious. Gene Simmons was 54 when he read that. And
yeah, but I think you're talking physical age.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and do it. You think this is the opening to Asshole, which Gene didn't write, did he? But he obviously thought, good idea, this. You think that you're so cool, that you're nobody's fool, that you got a personality. Stop drinking, Stephen. There you go. You've got a personality just like a bucket full of pee. How does it feel to be a real asshole? Join in, Stephen. I genuinely thought that was fucking hilarious. Yeah, right. You know, every time we mentioned you do like sheep, you know, we used to drive around in the car, me and the boys, yeah, listening to it nearly 20 years later. Oh Christ!
Do you not think it's aged well, Simon? No,
I feel like it hasn't aged well. You know, before I even get started on Firestarter, you know, I get this time, you know, he's had a look around like he didn't do in 78. He's thought, pop punk's a bit popular, yeah, asshole. Yeah. The Prodigy were popular, you know, a bit ago. I'll have a go at that. And like you said, it just screams out midlife crisis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny that. There are moments in songs like Asshole where, as someone that's followed Kiss for all of my musical life, I really like the acknowledgement that maybe he's an asshole too. There is a subtle honesty in some of this album. And that's what I want from a solo album. Not necessarily someone to be scene chasing to the extent where you do think, you know, this guy is singing music that people 40 years younger than him are trying to do. Do you know, that's maybe a bit of a stretch. Okay.
But when he does go, maybe I'm an asshole too, more often than not, he does follow it up with just like you, doesn't he? He just can't let it go. You know, but you want it to be a little bit more plaintive, and you know, there is not a world in which Gene Simmons believes that he's an asshole.
Oh, not now.
Not probably now. Not back then, and not at any point. You know, just monster. And there's nothing wrong with having a monstrous ego. You know, but Jesus Christ, he does not have that level of God. Do you think? Oh, me? Yeah, asshole Gene. No. And that is arguably why he's Gene Simmons, because you know he's a rent-a-gob. He says the shit that other people don't say. You know, God, what do we need to fill some pages up today? Phone Gene up. Excellent. Gene will say something.
All right. Yes, that's true.
Like an older Dee Snider or something like that, or a slightly older Ted Nugent, but not quite as obnoxious.
Well, he is obnoxious, but he's not that obnoxious. He doesn't quite fall into that category, do you know? But yes, he is, especially in the last 10, 15 years, he's a difficult listen when he opens his mouth not to sing, I have to say, which is better than Paul, who's a difficult listen when he opens his mouth to sing. And when he opens it not to. I mean, hello, my name's Steven and I'm a Kiss fan. I'm not completely oblivious, okay?
Can't be.
Yeah. All right. I mean, what actually upsets me most about this album isn't the bizarre scene chasing. I mean, Mr. Simmons has got previous for that, okay, in the terms of scene chasing. He's already done disco. He's already done a concept album. They've already done what I will not call hair metal. They've already done all of those things just after it was happening. What really upsets me about this album is the closing track. Okay, so 1,000 Dreams. So we're already nodding to a song from the 1978 album with A Man of a Thousand Faces. And I think in tone, I think that he thought this was When You Wish Upon a Star. Where actually it's When You Shit Upon a Star, because that's really poor. It is really poor. It's such a bad song, delivered so badly. The difference between what closes the 1978 album is it's a badly delivered song that drips with honesty. Not something you got from Gene Simmons very often at all. Whereas by the time that we get to the guy who's now 30 years down the line, not 25 years down the line, I think he's lost grip of what that honesty was. And he's having to try and manufacture it. And that's why, to me, what's good about this album, you need to kind of rub away some of the shite and discover that there's not some diamonds in there, but yeah.
Rubbing it away. Nope, still shy. I'm supposed to be bad cop here.
No, but this.
Do you remember when you shit together on Quiet Riot?
Whoa!
You kept your shit together until the end, and then before you said actually they're a bit shit. But no, you've just laid into Gene, haven't you?
I was meant to be good cop. Oh, the 1978 album was one of my favourite two Kiss-related products ever. So anyway, what I will say about
what a contradiction we are today, huh? Ooh.
Well, that, to be fair, not just today. What I will say about this album is it's exactly what Gene Simmons is. It's big, dumb, fun is what it is, and it's maybe a bit disingenuous. I think in 13 songs you've summed up an entire career of Gene Simmons there. I really do. I didn't, when he released this, is this the album I expected? No, I didn't expect him to be doing pop punk and kind of, I mean, the slow songs are all a bit countrified and various things like that. It's so manufactured, it's frightening. Hello, it's Gene Simmons. Do you know, it's so manufactured, it's frightening. So it wasn't the sound I expected. It is the album I expected, though. I bought this full in the knowledge that I would take it home and go, yeah, we're okay. Because I've done that with Gene Simmons for a long time up to that point. That doesn't forgive some of the missteps on here. But I think that what I want from a solo album is, I think the worst solo albums, and I'm not actually having to go at Paul's album here before anyone comments below, are the ones that just go, yeah, this is what I do every day. This reveals nothing else about me. This says nothing that you didn't already know about the music that I write, the way that I arrange the songs, the way that they're produced. Paul Stanley's solo album from 1978 is a great record. It's a great record, filled with great songs, sung fantastically, great performances. It's a Kiss album. Now, I'm a Kiss fan. I love it. It's not really what I wanted from his solo album. What I wanted from his solo album was what Gene gave us in 1978. But this just happened to be the guy that he was at this point. That doesn't excuse some of it, but I think it makes it actually quite endearing in a way that he isn't normally. And maybe that's why I genuinely have affection for this. I can't tell you I love it because I have to listen to it. Okay? But I do have affection for it.
I recently rewatched the video of a Firestarter, and I almost gouged my eyes out.
It's pretty bad.
It's not the greatest, but it's a song that's quite difficult to cover anyhow because it's like so prodigy-y. And 54-year-old dude doing this. But in the video, oh Christ on a bike, who does he think he is? Just what, like a porky M&M? What look is he? What are we going for?
I think you can
make it stop.
You can imagine the conversation that took place. Conversation in Gene's head, you know, with that big collaborative team that he has, Gene and Mr. Simmons. Okay, that song should be perfect for the Demon. It should be perfect for the Demon, shouldn't it? It's God of Thunder. It's I Love It Loud. He's the twisted Firestarter, not just the Firestarter. He's the twisted Firestarter. And then he gets a guitarist like Dave Navarro in to play on it. I mean, Dave Navarro's a fantastic guitar player. And then they go, let's ramp it down. It's so tame that it's unbelievable. It's one of the tamest things on the album. I mean, things like Dog. Dog's actually an angrier song than Firestarter. And that's what's wrong with it. Yeah, the video's misguided. I'll give you that. It's a little misguided for an elderly, younger than me, admittedly. I was younger. Anyway, he's old. I'm not. Right? But I can understand why that would be chosen for the album. I can understand it. It's the delivery of it that seemed to get lost along the way. I mean, it's the least...
Do something with it that makes it sound not like a watered-down Prodigy.
Yeah.
It's the kind of song, oh my God, I'm so pleased with myself, that you could actually see somebody, that version, somebody actually doing at the Holiday Inn.
Yep.
Living in ness of the Holiday Inn. You know what I mean? It's just that bland.
During that era where every crooner did metal songs or rock songs, heavy songs, did somebody do Firestarter? Did somebody do Firestarter? Because that would have been perfect for it. Could you imagine Paul Anka doing Firestarter? I think that's the. I think if you were going to go and cover that song, parody it, do it properly, but mean the parody.
But see that, but now here we are talking about a Gene Simmons solo album, and we're referencing it with Paul Anka and William Shatner and all these guys. It's like, so I mean, what does that say right there, right?
It tells you that Shatner's a genius.
I think we can all agree on that.
Surely we can. I certainly.
I'm looking at the guest list, the list of everybody who appeared on this album. My God, there's like 100 people, and of course he's got his wife on here. Background noise on track number 8, which is Whatever Turns You On. Background noise. I wonder what kind of
to
noise.
To be fair though, what you hear in the foreground of that song is noise.
Yeah.
So it is probably a pretty apt description, but also probably covers our career quite well as well, to be fair.
True.
I just because I wanted, I wrote down next to 1,000 Dreams, so hideous that even fat Elvis wouldn't have covered it.
See, that's why you're upset I turned on that song, because
I had something to say, and you got there first. Yeah, just soaking.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, genuinely, I'm a massive Kiss fan. Right? And I have I got everything? No, because that's impossible, because there's at least something that'd be 10 seconds these days. But realistically, I've got most of, if not all of the original music that has been put out by the wider sphere of that band, all the solo things. I love the Vinnie Vincent Invasion albums, all this kind of stuff. You know, I've got Mark St. John's White Tiger CDs. All right. Is Asshole one of the best things ever put out? No. But it fits the brief of what a Gene Simmons solo album in the noughties should have been. It really does. It's stupid, it's obnoxious, it's misguided, but it's dotted with songs that make you go, okay, that's Gene Simmons. I get this.
4 out of 13. Not a great ratio, is it?
No, not the best. It's not the best ratio, no. However,
very good.
By the standards of One for All from Peter Criss, it's really good. It's really good. That's really high. I mean, but actually, it's 4 songs high.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware
that, right? Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware that Peter Criss is a bit of a jazz guy.
I need to start taking notes here.
I feel like you should, shouldn't you? It's something he keeps very close to his chest.
He does, absolutely, he does. Yes, indeed. Yes, yeah.
Are you guys amazed that after all these years that Gene has only done 2 solo albums? He always seemed like the guy who he would pump one out any chance he took, but never.
But
no, I'm not. On you go, Sam. On you go.
Well, he could sit in his mansion and sign off on yet another Kiss compilation or a live album or a casket or some other stuff. You know, why would you get your ass out of bed when you could just do that, went to bed and stuff like that? Yeah.
Or what, the Kiss? Don't they have a Kiss beer or Kiss wine or something like that? Those guys doesn't even drink
everything.
It's like
they've got Kiss and Brews, something like that, whatever it is. So they've got like a place that serves beer and all the stuff, but neither the two of them drink. They do have a bug bin.
Telling that story for decade after decade, how he never drank. Oh, but come hang out and drink at my place, right? It's like, come on.
Yeah. Rock and Brews. I'm sure that's what it is. Rock and Brews. Yeah, that's what it is. Am I surprised he's not done more? No. I would be more surprised if he did, to be honest. I think personally that if, and I'm not here to shit on any of the band, because I do have a deep love for Kiss. I think that if Mr. Stanley wasn't suffering from the vocal issues that he clearly does these days, I think Gene would be pushing for more Kiss music. I think that's what he wanted to do over the last 10, 15 years. I think that he really wanted to nurture the band. I actually would go as far as to say that he regrets how disinterested he was in the 80s and the entire thing that he was on stage pretending to enjoy, because he really was barely there Do you know, he was phoning it in, not particularly interested, not putting, when you hear his demos, not putting his best stuff on the albums half the time, which didn't particularly help anybody out there. And I think that Revenge was a reawakening for him because he suddenly found a type of music that he could associate his character with. I think he suffered more than anyone else from taking the makeup off and then putting it back on. I think he's the one that's enthused by the band now. Whether all of the Kiss fans are or not the current incarnation, that's a separate discussion entirely. But I don't think that Gene has really been about the music for so long now that the prospect of, I don't think he would know what to do, because if he puts out a Demon album, then people are just going, oh, why not just do a Kiss album, Gene? And then you've got to say, well, because the guy can't sing. So we can't really do that because we both have to kind of turn up for this. Yeah, and Paul can't, he can't lip sync in the studio.
No, you can't.
You know? But if he went and did something like this, well, he's going to get people like Simon telling you that it's not very good. And what's his other option? You can't go and do what, say, David Coverdale did with Into the Light and say, actually, do you know, these are great songs and I'm just going to sit and sing them because I'm a phenomenal singer. Gene is to me, when he sings, is actually a really good singer. He's a genuinely underrated singer. There's the little bit, one of his favourite vocals that I've ever heard him sing, quite bizarrely enough. If anyone, I don't know if it went elsewhere, but in the UK watched Rock School that he did, where he did that cliched thing of taking a group of young people who had no history in rock music whatsoever and shaped them into a band that went out and actually did gigs. And the Jack Black thing, he went out and, you know, got them, and they were some sort of choral choir school thing. And he was asked to sing on the Sunday in their, you know, religious service that they did. And the worry was that he would turn up and sing I Love It Loud or God of Thunder. And he did the clean vocal section from God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. And it's a thing of beauty. It's genuinely a thing of beauty. It really was one of those, when we went to see them on the Revenge tour in the UK with the Hot in the Shade stage set. But anyway, that doesn't hurt me at all. That's how much it hurt me. I'll be as camp as I want. Okay. I remember my other half leaving that gig and going, wow, he can really sing. Well, yeah, but he just doesn't. That's not what he does.
He's not to it. Yeah.
Do you know? But he's not going to put an album of that out now, because that's not going to work. I don't think he's got any options outside of Kiss music.
Yeah, you could be right. You could be right.
Paul is the one that maybe does, but unfortunately, I don't think he can do it anymore. So, but there you go.
Oh, well, you know, we're going to dive back into Kiss again in the not too distant future, and specifically some of the 80s albums. So stay tuned for that coming up in a couple of weeks. So yes.
As I told you off air previously, I've never seen Kiss live. And no, I don't want to. Yes. However, I have seen one of the many Kiss tribute acts in the UK, and I give to you, just because I can, even fatter than usual, Gene. Look at that.
Now, by any chance, is that Dressed to Kill that you saw?
I think it's did they split up and started playing in two different bands? Yeah, that was one of their first ones. And wow,
they put on a good show.
Good. They were brilliant, and you know, really throw themselves into it, saying things like, "Okay, this is from the Kiss album from 1982," and it's so close to them saying, "This is from our Kiss album." You know what I mean?
That's the he's got the Destroyer costume on. It looks like, right?
And it fits snugly.
The Dressed to Kill, I don't know if they're still a thing. Actually, they were really good. I mean,
phenomenally good. One. Magnificent night. But,
yeah, there's one that plays around here too a lot. They played locally last summer, and I didn't make it to the show, but everybody said they were amazing. I can't remember what they were called.
There's so many. There have been so many over the years. I mean, Kiss are clearly a band that are ripe for it. That and the fact that they play such a narrow selection of the catalogue that they're ripe for other bands to go out and go, well, do you know what? If they're only going to play the same 15, 20 songs for the last 10 years and however many years the farewell reunion, whatever thing we're calling it this month, goes on for, well, we've got 20, 30 albums worth of stuff to go and say, well, we'll choose that one. We'll go and play Firehouse, because why did they not play Firehouse? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so on and so on and so on. There's so many great songs that band just completely ignore now, that they're ripe for that sort of thing. What I will say, though, he says wearing a Thayer shirt, which will upset an awful lot of people, is that the current version of the band have their place. It is an interesting thing to watch. We spoke about Blackfoot fleetingly a few weeks ago, how a band could evolve out of being what it really is entirely, and have no original members left, and be a kind of manufactured thing, which is strange for a band the size of Blackfoot. You know, a good, solid, mid-sized band that never broke through into the huge mainstream in that sense. But Kiss have started to kind of, I mean, obviously the two guys are playing a part. Are they playing the character? Are they just pretending to be the guy in the band? Difficult to tell. But they're still really good fun. I mean, I've taken my kids to see Kiss, and that's the only opportunity they've got to see any version of the band. And they've all come out going, oh, wow, that was absolutely phenomenal. And I can't compare it to what they did pre the Unmasked years, because I didn't see them back then either. So my first experience of them with the makeup back on was the reunion tour, which was, to me, outstandingly good. For lots of people, it was like, yeah, meh. I didn't experience it until then, you know. So there you go.
All right. Well, to be continued, I guess. So we will revisit Kiss again in a couple of weeks. Like I said, we've got plans to talk about some of the 80s albums. Excuse me. So that's coming up. Meanwhile, next week, I think we're revisiting concert experiences next week, I think. Right. Yeah. So stay tuned for another little couple of year period where we're going to talk about some of the good and maybe not so good concerts that we've seen during those years. So thanks for watching, everybody here. The UK Connection, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. But of course, we're here on YouTube.
All the damn time.
All together. Oh, no, all together. He always does all together now.
Yes. All the damn time.
That's right.
All the damn time.
That's right.
All together?
We're here all together all the damn time. Yes. Got to change things up every now and then. So I'm glad someone's paying attention. You were not, Steven. You detention for you today. Sorry, my friend.
I'll have to go listen to this again. Well, is that what I've got to do?
There you go. Yes. I think you've been listening to too much of that. It's got your brain a little fogged up, right? Yes. So thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell, and stay tuned for another episode with three of us. Next Saturday, tomorrow, we've got album homework assignment. Got Scott Berry and Eric Porter coming at you tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And a lot more happening all week long here on Sea of Tranquility. For Simon Bray and Steven Reid, I am Pete Pardo. See you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.